Manu Intiraymi. Thank you for
Hi.
taking the time. And it's not your first FedCon. I think you've been here, I think, 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, I've lost count.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's start with some favorite memories because this is 25 years of FedCon. It's 50 years of Star Trek. What is your favorite FedCon moment?
That's too hard to choose. That's way too hard to choose. Well, no, it isn't. The very first time that I came here, I had never been to a convention before. In fact, Bob Picardo told me on set that I should go do conventions, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I came here, and for FedCon to be my very first convention was, I think I bit off more than I can chew. So they handed me a microphone. I didn't even know that I had to go talk on stage or entertain fans or answer questions or anything, and suddenly somebody gives me a microphone and they told me to go on stage. So I'm out there and I'm 22 years old. I've never spoken in front of 5,000, 7,000 people before, or however many are out there. And the only thing I could think of to say was this story about this mountain goat that attacked me and my friend when I was a kid. So I just started telling this story about getting attacked by a rabid mountain goat. And the people here allowed me to do that. You understand? They let me tell that story, and they laughed and they cared, and it was stupid because it was just a kid telling a story about a mountain goat. But then that led to like even more and more magic, and that I remember that Q&A was my very first Q&A, and probably the best Q&A that I'll ever have, because in the middle of it, this guy stood up and told me about how an episode I did about, well, it was about transplanting a Borg node to 7 of 9. But really it was about kidney transplant. And this man and his friend or his cousin or his brother or something like that had gotten through their kidney transplant because of the episode. And when he thanked me, there were tears in his eyes. Right? So that was, what, 16 years ago? And that's a memory that still touches me. So that's the best one.
Yeah, I really see how much that you are touched because you have tears in your eyes.
Yeah.
There are so many moments that you shared here with fans, and there are so many fans that you learn to know personally.
Thank you.
Is there maybe any, do you have made some friendships with some fans that you met here at the FedCon? Did you have maybe some fans that are you in touch with since 8, 10 or 12 years?
Yeah, in fact, that's what's so cool about having come back 6 times or 7 times or 5 times or whatever it is. I've lost track of the number, but I know I've spent a good 20 or 30 days of my life with these people. And unlike American conventions, where if I come back the 3rd time, nobody cares, nobody wants to talk to me anymore. FedCon, it seems like this is going to be a crying interview. I just keep getting more and more love. So it's beautiful here.
It's like a family.
Yeah, it is. It's more than, it's like, I actually was writing a screenplay for this film I'm doing called The Circuit, and in the screenplay, Nichelle Nichols refers to the fans as a family. And I wanted to change it to, my writer who wrote it, I wanted to change it to friends, because friends and family is the same thing. But every time you're at FedCon and you get up at the opening ceremonies or the closing ceremonies, you see all these faces in the crowd, and each time you come back you recognize them, and you've had different experiences with them. And you know more and more of them as your actual friends, people you've had an empathetic experience with.
You mentioned the circuit in your last answer, so some words about this new project from you. What is it about, or what is the storyline of the circuit?
The Circuit is 10 stories. It's an anthology film like VHS or Grand Canyon or Paris Je T'aime or all the great anthology films, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Ours is 10 stories. But what's different about ours is usually when you have an anthology film, you pick one genre, VHS, and for example, horror stories. we're going to do 10 different genres, 10 different directors, five of the stories written by professional writers and directors, and 5 of the stories written by the fan base. And the good submissions from the fan base we're going to take, and they'll come to work on the film. And so we're going to make really the biggest collaboration between fans and professionals that's ever been done in an anthology film before. So 10 different stories, 10 different genres that all take place in the past, present, or future of a pop culture convention. So that's the only rules in the stories. 10 different stories, but there'll be a couple of characters that slip their way through into a few of the different stories as well. But that's the circuit.
Mm. And it's, so far that I know, some kind of crowdfunding project like Fifth Passenger? Or?
Yeah, it's like Fifth Passenger, which is a film of mine coming out in a few months. It's going to be a crowdfunding project. But Fifth Passenger, we took 3 weeks to let the crowd know that it was happening. And with the circuit, we have so many people involved. We've got Robert Picardo and Ethan Phillips and people from Defiance and people from Game of Thrones and Babylon 5 and superhero shows, people from Arrow. And so we've got a big eclectic mix of fantasy, sci-fi, superhero, and horror actors. So we've got the genres that convention fans love the most, and we have just a gigantic cast. And it's going to be an Indiegogo probably late June. We're thinking June 15th, June 10th. You can go to the website at www.thecircuitfilm.com, and we'll have a different teaser up the next 12 weeks. Every week and a half or so, you'll see a new teaser about, what the movie is.
And I think it's a totally new way of making films when you finance it by crowdfunding.
It's amazing.
It's made from the fans, for the fans, in this kind of way.
I think it could be one of two things. It could be this incredible thing. Like right now it's peaking, crowdfunding. People are raising millions of dollars to make films. And it depends on the integrity of the filmmakers if this continues to be something that lasts or whether it's just a bubble that bursts. And so I'm hoping that these people that raise a bunch of money, and I'm hoping the circuit raises a bunch of money, they need to spend that money all on the film instead of putting it in their pockets or buying homes or buying houses or, and so there's a little bit of, I'm worried that it's sort of in a crowdfunding right now as a test of the integrity of the human spirit in art, because there's been some great films that have come out of crowdfunding, and there's also been a couple of films that never came out, so hopefully the filmmakers will keep their integrity and the fans will keep supporting. I like it because it's democratic, It's like we want to see that. We vote for that. And in the way when you give your donation, you vote for what you want to see on television or what you want to see in the theaters. I think it's really, really a cool thing, so I hope it lasts.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about very great names that are in this project, so how does it all work? How did you get all these actors together from Star Trek, from Game of Thrones, that they say, okay, we are in there?
What happened to get all the talent involved in the circuit? I have a writer friend named James Bird, and James Bird wrote a film called Eat, Spirit, Eat, and he has a film called Honey Glue that comes out June 10th. And he's an incredible filmmaker, an incredible writer, and I could say a number of things. He's the next blankety blank. He's the next Quentin Tarantino. He's the next Spielberg, whatever. But he's the next James Bird. And he makes films that are, they strike your heart. Like they really pull at your heartstrings. So I had a couple story concepts. I had him write them for a couple of big actors, friends of mine in the sci-fi community, and went to them with the concept and said, hey, here's a little script. Here's what you'll do. And as soon as they said yes, more and more people said yes. So I could say I have Robert Picardo and Tim Russ, and I'd show them the script that I wrote for them or that James wrote for them. It was my idea, my story idea, but James did the heart of the writing. And we just built up this big, beautiful cast, and they started calling friends, and they started calling friends, and going around the world to different conventions, I would meet, the Carl Urbans and the bigger guests, and go and hit them up and see if they were interested in the idea. So over the last year, it's been just a lot of gathering of people that like the idea.
Okay, thank you very much and good luck for the circuit.
Thank you.